Again, I want to thank Sherry. Also, I want to thank Sherry and Richard and Paula and Sam and Lizzie and Susan and Caitlin for all that they do, all who they are, and putting this together and helping me get this put together. I deeply appreciate it, and I want to thank you for it. And again, thanks for all you all do. And the feedback you all were giving me the last couple of days to help get this put together. So I believe in feedback. So what we're going to look at, leadership. We're going to talk about creating a positive environment. We'll look into what's called emotional intelligence, EQ, constraints, goals, and systems. UX and UI, I believe, is a great thing for people to use to help grow organizations and grow people and develop teams and reach more people. I believe that all of us are leaders in some capacity. We might not be, quote, the boss, I guess. I don't necessarily use those terms, but we all are leaders in some way, okay? So we're going to look at kind of a definition of leadership. A couple of ways to look at it, okay? There's different definitions of leadership. And I won't say that any of them are right or wrong. It's just a way of looking at different things in a different perspective maybe, or growing and developing and learning. Here's how we define leadership. And in UX, I think this is important. And UI. Someone that can put their personal bias or agenda, I guess I could have added that, bias aside, to take on a greater agenda of service. Let's think about what that would look like. Putting aside my biases, putting aside my agenda to take on a greater agenda of serving others, for the good of others. We all want results. It might be in the classroom, it might be a bottom line of a corporation, or the playing field in athletics, but the goal is the same, to do something that produces. In this short presentation, we're going to look at a process that builds high-performing people and teams by creating environments that work. Some of this might be new to some of you all. Some of it might be repetitive, and some of it might be confirming some things for some of you. Environment. When we look at environment of building a strong team, we look at being a learner, and we look at being a leader. First, we all learn about leadership and building a strong team, family, for the future growth, and have a great time doing it. So let's have some fun. Let's have some enjoy while we're doing this. Let's be excited about it and learn to grow. Second, we are all learners. We believe in learning and we teach learning. It has always struck me or us as odd that there are people who teach but don't want to be taught. Again, we are all learners. This next little phrase I think is very important. We believe that those people and companies that learn the fastest and implement the smoothest win. Third, we believe leadership is as much about who we are as what we do. In other words, many people talked about what a leader does, the action part, but we also want to learn about who the leader is, the being part. Who am I becoming as a leader? People follow me, follow the directions, follow the directions that we're suggesting or going. And having those social skills, those soft skills to grow that. And a way to learn some of that is through feedback from others, from our peers, from our friends or family, just receiving that feedback of where is it that we're doing great, and maybe some things that we could change or maybe possibly improve on. So this little model here to help create some environment is just a little acronym, as you can see, called the AXCEL Model. The first part of it, the approach, okay, is really, if we were in person, we would have done this with a handshake. Hi, everybody, welcome, introduce ourselves, welcoming, affirming, model. That's our first initial contact. That's our first initial start. But obviously, because of what's happened We need some type of approach to kind of just start putting people at ease and getting to know them, just that initial engagement. The X, using phonetics, explore. Explore your customer's needs. Obviously, this is going to require great listening skills. And in UX and UI and any leadership, listening to what the person's needs are, understanding what those person's needs are, building that safe environment, being a safe person, so I can fully grasp all that they're talking about. Those first two steps are actually the most important two steps. If I get those two right, most of the time we're going to have a huge or a big successful process or team or experience. Communicate. Communicate content, dialogue, flexibility, real world, empower, and launch. So here's one way communicate works, and I'll simplify this just because it's easy for me to explain it this way. My daughter comes home. She walks in the house. I give her a hug. How are you? Have a good day. What do you need? Dad, I need to take a little break, maybe change my clothes, blah, blah, blah. And after I'm done with that, Dad, I want to learn how to make chocolate chip cookies. Great. She's communicating her agenda and her needs. My agenda might be something like, I also want you to learn how to make a baked potato. How would I empower her to make that and empower her to develop that chocolate chip cookie and make those chocolate chip cookies? Well, here's the stove or oven. Here's the ingredients. Here's the bowl. Here's the spoon, blah, blah, blah. And on my side, here's the baked potato. So she comes in wanting to know how to do something. And then I come with an agenda that I want her to learn something even new or something that's going to help her be more successful. And then I empower her to do that. This can be just about in any kind of situation. And then the launch. The launch is something like, man, these are the best chocolate chip cookies I've ever had, sweetie, man. I love dunking them in the milk. They're good. I love it. Great job. Great decision making. You worked hard. You listened. And you were successful. So you follow those steps. Again, the first and most important steps are the first two, to really understanding your customer, really understanding the situation, really understanding the data that comes across or metrics or things along those lines.
I think that can work also with coworkers and that sort of thing too. Right?
Correct. Yes, for anybody. If it's a student in the classroom, a kid would walk in, and guys, I used to teach calculus. So, but I'll keep it maybe at a smaller level. If I was teaching third grade, kids walk in, I did 3-digit math, 303 plus 372. Mm-hmm. The student might say, I didn't quite understand that 3-digit math. Would you go over that again? Yes. And we're going to do 3-digit subtraction. So the student brought the agenda, and then I brought an agenda to help them grow. That ties to a lot of things in life, okay? As developing those skills to grow an organization. So what we're going to do, there's a guy named Monty Roberts, and this might be some things that are kind of, you have to kind of tie some things together, how it relates to UX, how it relates to life, how it relates to other things in life and growth. But Monty Roberts is the horse whisperer. Years ago, a movie called The Horse Whisperer. He and I work close together. He's trained all the horses for the Queen of England. He has his own development, stuff like that. He lives in Goldman, California, 2 biological kids, 47 adopted kids. And back to this little model up here, this Excel model. Look at that process, the A and the X. As you're watching that, I call it approach. He calls it join up instead of approach. I don't care what we call it, but it's the same process. People aren't horses, horses aren't people. People are much more complex. But here's some of the parallels. Horses are social. What are people? Social. Horses are fight or flight. What are people? Fight, flight. And now we say the word freeze sometimes. So those fears, those anxieties, those uncertainties, securities, and safeties, can be met through a step-by-step process. If you've been in any kind of counseling type classes or psychology classes, there was a guy named Maslow. Well, this follows Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So does that previous AXCEL model. So we look at what Monty's getting ready to do. And again, I was raised on a ranch. Guys, it would take 4, 6, 8 months to break a horse. When you break a horse, what do you have? A broken horse. When you break a human or a kid, what do you have? A broken person or a kid. When you break a company. And I guess a little at risk here, when you break a country. Okay?
Yeah.
What do you have? A broken company or a kid. So we'll see if you can see some of the parallels. And if you can't hear this, or because this is some of the audio we had issues with earlier.
Has been here 1
Okay.
week.
Can you see it?
No.
Can everybody see that?
Can you
No.
can you try to play the one on the screen? Click on the picture. I don't know if it's gonna.
Yes, he's been.
Did that work?
No,
Okay.
I'm not seeing it.
Not seeing it.
I'm hearing it, but I'm not seeing it. Okay,
Let's
just
stop
try to
the
share again.
share. Pull that up. Share. Continue. Try one more time.
This horse
Yes, no?
has been here
No,
1 week.
I can hear it, but I can't see it. Are you sharing just the
I have no
PowerPoint, or are
idea
you
what
sharing
he's
the entire screen?
He's healthy. He's about 1,200
Great
pounds.
question.
Go ahead and
so,
stop it again.
And
Yeah, going to. Stop the share. Share.
Hang with us, guys. We'll get there.
There we go. Let's try this. Now it came up.
Share.
Share. Oops, I need to share that. Why did it not let me share that?
Just do desktop. There we go.
Now can you see it? Okay, you can see it?
Yeah.
Is it
Yeah.
expanded? Is it full screen for you?
Not yet.
fast.
Oh.
And he's raised under
There we go.
traditional.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to advance it some, guys, for sake of time. Okay,
So he gets a bit of.
and I got to move something out of my way so I can see the time. Okay, we're going to start at about 4:53, 4 minutes into it. You can YouTube Monty Roberts and watch a lot of videos on this, and a lot of different things.
Yeah, Monty Roberts, join up, and we can share the link in the
Correct.
chat.
And yes.
It's pretty cool.
Okay, buffering. Okay.
2 pounds, 1 length, 3 pounds, a length and a half, etc. So when these horses are grazing in the middle of a big area,
It's making it over each other. Okay.
coming,
There
or
you go.
tiger, or
Good.
grizzly bear, if they are sharp, and remember that every horse is hypervigilant, and they all have post-traumatic stress. They live to be food for the predators. They only eat grass. They've never killed another species. So before that lion gets there, they empty their gut. That was about 3 pounds. Go figure. All he has to beat is one horse out of the meadow, and the lion eats the other horse. So these horses are survivors of the fittest, and they know what they're doing. Emptying the gut is a manifestation of an elevation of adrenaline, because he's looking up there at all these strange faces. He's never seen anything like this before. He's never been in this place with the lights on before. He's been in here, but not with the lights on and not with an audience like this. So I'm just going to take this line off of him now and slap my leg, and he'll go away from me. Eyes on eyes, shoulders square. I'll just pitch that line out and say, go on away, because they're flight animals. I'm giving him a chance to express his flight tendencies. So he'll leave me. Now, so he leaves me. And he's happy about that, because I kind of worry him anyway. And he's never met me before. That's the first time I've ever touched him right there. But I know my business enough that I know that this horse is a horse. And that means that for 50 million years, he has studied his own communication system. And I've discovered it. Eyes on eyes, shoulders square, fingers open, he goes faster. I'm going to show you the other way around, and I'm going to predict for you the conversation that he'll have for me. He's going on the right lead now. Look at the right legs are going the greater distance, leading to the inside. I'm going to change him and ask him to go the other way. Now he's leading with the two left legs, leading on the inside. That gives him the most chance to run fast. Some of you may know this, some of you may not. All cows run disunited, left in front, right behind. God made them that way so they couldn't outrun the horse, and we could catch up to them. It's true. It's true, they do it anyway. I don't know if God had anything to do with it, but they cross lead or disunite. So he's going on the left lead now. Two left legs. I'm going to turn him around and go the other way for his psychological. See, he's looking at me with the left eye. And he's already seen me with the right eye, but this is the first time he's seen me with the left eye. Now I'm going to put him back in the original direction that he traveled. Watch how he'll be more relaxed, because he's been here before, and he'll go slower. Watch how he will put this ear on me and then lick and chew. Yeah? Put this ear on me, try to keep the little voice down. The other ear will listen to the rest of the world, and he'll lower his head right down by the soil. Four gestures we're looking for. The ear, licking and chewing, lowering the head, and making a smaller circle, which he hasn't done yet. We're looking for 4. 3 we've had. There's the lowering of the head. It's like I need a leader. Deference to me. He says I'm important in his life with his ear. The licking and chewing, manifestation of the lowering of adrenaline. Now he's ready to almost to do join up, but he hasn't done his smaller circle. Coming off the wall, he's just thinking about it now. So I'm just going to send him on a little bit and let you see that I can predict what he's going to do. There's the smaller circle. Coming off the wall a little, hanging that head over and looking at me saying, can I come closer to you? I'm just a poor horse. Look at it. There's the smaller circle. There's the smaller circle. Just as plain as day. Now watch when I open my hand. You don't have to hit a horse to get him to go faster. I can open my hand and pick his feet up immediately. Just a cat's claw. Open like that. And watch what happens. I'll keep doing it until I get him right on up to the canter. Like that. And then watch this now, and I'll drop my hand down, close my fingers, bring my hand down across my body, and I can pull him right down to a stop. That World Book was right up here, and Britannica, and they now say, oh, there is some work being done that might indicate that there is a language, that there is a communication system between horses, not a language, communication system between horses and humans. Watch now as I open my fingers. Now, if a deaf person was that adept to watching the signals, the gestures that you make, you would call it communication. Sure enough. So all 4 gestures are in clearly, and I'm ready to do join up. And I tell my students, if you try to do join up at 12 o'clock, it's the top of the clock, and 6 o'clock is the gate, the bottom of the clock, and their tendency is to drift toward the 6. at the bottom of the dial. That's another thing. But watch this now. I've been eyes on eyes, shoulder square, and I'm going to go passive and see what he has to say to me. Shoulders on the 45, fingers closed. There's the moment of join up. Perfection. And I rub him as an instant consequence positive. The pick. This is the pick. The nick has been done. Now he's happy. The pulse rate has fallen now just over 50 probably. And I'm just going to walk away from him now and see where he wants to be.
You get the idea. That was really cool.
So for the sake of time, just kind of stopping it right there, okay? Interesting, huh?
Like he's almost trained that way, but he's not. He just communicates.
Almost communication. See, in humans, according to the Moravian study, 55% of human communication is your body language and facial expression. 38% is the tone of voice, and 7% is for the words. He learned horse communication, understanding them, understanding his customer. He puts his agenda aside. He puts his personal biases aside to build a relationship. He's negotiating a relationship with that horse, and he becomes a safe person, going from aggression to passive. In a horse's mind, it's going from predator, because our eyes are on the front, the horse is going to see me as a predator. The people around that arena, that horse sees all those people as a predator. So little voices can make that horse just take off, because in the wild, any little thing, them horses take off. Well, that horse weighs about 1,200–1,500 pounds, and if he runs into money, it's going to hurt. So that's why he asked the little voices to go down. Lowering that anxiety, lowering that horse's stress. 4 indicators that he looks for. Well, you can see it in humans too. You can start seeing their anxiety come down, their stress level come down, their walls come down, so to speak, and it's negotiating a relationship. So what are some ways to possibly do that? When I was a teacher, see, Monty's breaking tradition. He's done 19,000 horses with this process, and the longest to put a saddle, bridle, and a rider on the horse was 31 minutes. The average is 21 to 22 minutes. Again, it takes 4, 6, 8 months to break a horse. You tie up their legs, you're twitching their ear, you're putting extra weight on them, you're breaking them, and not building trust and respect. So in the classroom and in the organizations, the question I like to ask is, how do you want me, Eric Anderson, how do you want to be treated by me? And if it's in the chat, you might even put things like respect, accepted, safe, open door policy. Don't be fearful of losing my job. We've all probably had the kind of leader boss thing where you walk on eggshells, the command control kind of boss, not relational. Or what, I don't necessarily like the word boss, but leader, because we all work together. We're equal as humans, but people have different roles. Well, who would this include? How do you want me to treat you? How do you want to be treated by me, Eric Anderson? That includes everybody. It's not, it includes every race, religion, nationality, whatever I missed. I'm not trying to miss anything. But think in terms of behavior. What would I have to do to show you respect? What does Monty have to do to show that horse respect? It's a tradition change. It's a system change. How should we treat each other? How do you think I want to be treated? How do we treat each other during conflict? Because in relationships, we're going to have conflict. But maintain the relationship and solve the conflict. If I have an issue with Sherry, does Sherry want me to go talk to Paula about it, or does Sherry want me to come to Sherry? And when I go to Sherry, she would probably say, come to me. You go to the person. So now that builds trust, because if I talk to Paula about it, I build trust with Paula and Sherry. But you go to them with respect. You go with them to seeking to understand first, putting the relationship first. I believe in that question. What should come first, rules or relationship? I believe relationships come first. Then the rules, or the system design stuff, if you want to call it that. And we'll look at that later. We have a new member come to our group. I think there's some new members to the UXSA meeting tonight. Welcome. Glad you're here. Thanks for coming. Please feel free to ask, talk, learn, grow. Help me become that safe person for you too. If there's something I need to work at, let me know so we can work together on things. So here's negotiation. Here's how I kind of start negotiation talk sometimes. I'm in my kitchen. My kids are like 10 years old, let's say, or 9, 10, and they're somewhere. I'm in the kitchen. Jared and Emily, my 2 kids, come running into the kitchen. They're going, Dad, 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 I want an orange. I want the orange. I want the orange. I want the orange. And there's only one orange left in the house. What do parents usually do? Not everybody. Cut it in half. Not everybody would answer it that way, but a lot of us would. So it's like, cut it in half. Hey, super mom, super dad, great parent, problem solved, life move on. Let's go, baby, right? Or I go, Emily, why do you want the orange? And Emily says, Dad, I want the peeling because I want to make some potpourri. Oh, Jared, why do you want the orange? Dad, I want to eat it. Oh, they both get 100% of what they both wanted, and I didn't waste any product. And I'm teaching them negotiation. I'm teaching them social skills. I'm teaching them how to work together. See the difference?
Mm-hmm.
So Monty, and those 4 questions or 5 questions there on how we're going to treat each other, how you think I want to be treated, blah, 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 lowers social anxiety. And it's a theory, but there's a formula to it. And you can put some answers in the chat, if I can find the chat. It kind of disappeared on me.
We can
What are
put
some of the fill in the blank?
COVID,
Yeah.
COVID plus no mask.
COVID plus, right? What's the formula to lower social anxiety? Kind of, I guess, kind of a perfect time to be talking about this,
Well, this
kind
is
of stuff,
like
right?
what equals social anxiety? What would bring it?
What equals?
Make social anxiety.
What creates
two
it?
things.
Correct.
Okay. You don't want to guess at some things in the chat?
Let's see if I can see. I can't even see the chat right now.
I can
That's
see it.
okay.
Unfamiliarity and inexperience. Fear and power. Holly, you're close.
What happened? There we go. Okay. Fear plus self-motivation. Let me explain that. Of course, you get the fear part, but you might not. Some people do, some don't, and I can't read everybody's mind right now. So self-motivation part. So let's say on a scale of 1 to 10, my fear is a 9 and my self-motivation is a 2. Am I going to go out and probably do something? Probably not. If somebody was afraid to come and talk to me, or a student or one of my employees is afraid to come and talk to me, they're probably not going to do it, but they're trying to grow their self-motivation up to do it. When really my job as a leader is to lower that fear and that anxiety, the psychological, mental fear. See, we're talking psychological safety. When you feel psychologically safe with someone, physical safety follows. creating a safe psychological environment in a group. So this quote that I'm getting ready to give you comes from Monty Roberts. It's called, he states it this way: if all learning is from 1 to 10, I have no idea what all learning is. I don't know what 10 is, Einstein, whatever. I have no idea what all learning is. But if all learning is from 1 to 10, what's the most important step? 0 to 1, join up or approach. Approach that person, shake their hand, elbow, for social distancing, right? All that. But you approach them in a calm, relaxed, safe, be a safe person, be a safe individual to where you can talk to them. Almost like counseling, I think Sherry said earlier, or maybe that was earlier today. Mm-hmm. Almost like a counseling technique in UX, in UI, in working with my own 2 kids, and with anybody. So what's the outcome? The outcome of that? Security. Safe and secure. You feel accepted. If I was to really sit down with each one of you and I ask you how you want to be treated, number 2 would be one of your answers. Accept me for the things I'm doing well at, and accept the things that I struggle with or I make mistakes at. Accept me as a human. Seek to understand the person, where they're coming from, who they are, best we can. Then we can take responsibility for things. Then the work stage. Then we can start doing the work. Those 4 questions: how do you want to be treated? How do we treat each other? My first 10 class periods, 10 hours, all we did was those 4 questions in the classroom. And the kids came up with the answers, and the group came up with how that class was going to behave, and they held each other accountable to that behavior. Because we think it's about behavior, not IQ. We think it's about getting behavior in line first, then work, then we can grow, then we can develop. And of course, after that, we have improving, continuous improvement. So what do we improve? One of the things, there's lots of things, is this one. Emotional intelligence. The capacity to be aware of control and express one's emotions and handle interpersonal relationships judiciously and empathetically. Well, let's look at that. The capacity. You know what supply demand is, or capacity demand is? Capacity demand, right? If 10 million people walk over to a restaurant, well, they probably don't have the capacity to handle 10 million people. Am I growing my capacity to be able to handle more in life, stay in control of my emotions with that interpersonal relationship, and have those conversations? One of the skills that's very hard to do is listen without thinking of anything you want to say back. No questions, nothing. You just listen to them. Don't think of anything you want to say back to them. And don't even sit there, or possibly don't even sit there and go, I don't want to say anything. I don't want to say anything. I don't want to say anything. Because now you're thinking of something. So really just focused on that person and being empathetic. So emotional intelligence is a true predictor of success and behaviors. What is emotional intelligence? What is some of the things about emotional intelligence? This little acronym is a very beginning start. It's kind of a step 1, 8th or 9th grade level, but we could go to master's, doctorate degree in college on this stuff. One of the emotional intelligence, as we've already mentioned, or I already mentioned, is interpersonal skills. What's interpersonal? Combine empathy and social skills. Persistence, the ability to stick with something and not give up. Optimism, the ability to be positive in the face of adversity or struggle. What we've been going through for the last couple of months, tough on lots of people. Being optimistic and staying optimistic in that. We can do this. Self-awareness, the ability to understand who you are and where you're at. Self-control, or sometimes called impulse control, the ability to control your impulses or urge to do something. I went to the store and I bought this new thing, I got home with it, and buyer's remorse, I wish I hadn't done it. Empathy. What is empathy? The ability to feel what other people feel. What's the difference between, and this might be semantics, what's the difference between empathy and compassion? Compassion, somebody says, hey Eric, I don't have any groceries. I have no money, I don't have any groceries. Man, I understand how you feel. Y'all are probably going hungry. Man, that's just tough. After the conversation's over, I run to the grocery store, I go buy $100 or whatever worth of groceries, and I deliver it to the person. That's compassion. Empathy, just understanding the feelings. Social skills, the ability to interact with others in a positive, successful way. And self-motivation, the ability to tell someone what to do rather than having someone to tell you to do it. If I want freedom, most people would say, yes, I want freedom and more freedom. The formula for freedom, self-motivation equals freedom. I'll use my own daughter as an example. If I leave a list, the dishes need to be done, have the laundry done, and your homework done before I get home. If those things are done and she self-motivated herself to be done with them, what does she get? Freedom to do what she wants within reason. So what's next? We set some goals. Here's how you do it. Some people have heard the phrase KISS, keep it stupidly simple. I try to nice it up instead of the other way around. So to keep it simple, I don't like that. I'm not going to use that word again, but keep it simple. Measurable, right in terms of behaviors, provide accountability, and then include a timeline. So here's what it could look like. Be a good example for my peers. Overcome fear or fears. Reduce stress. Develop a more positive attitude. Work well with others. Here's an example. And if I wrote a plan for me, I'll just use me as an example. I'm going to be viewed by my staff as a non-defensive recipient of critical feedback within 1 year from today. Asking for feedback from each coworker or peer at least one time per month, saying thank you. Is there anything else I need to work on? Rather than becoming defensive. When I'm defensive, I'm not listening. And then every 6 months and 12 months, get a written progress report from my staff or from other people. This also relates to Good Heart Framework on Google. And Good Heart Framework is a UX tool, for lack of better words, that talks about happiness, engagement, adoption, retention, task success, goals, signals, metrics. And Retro looks at feedback. Kind of interchangeable, I guess, in the wording, but retro feedback. Me personally,
Yes.
I asked my 2 kids, how am I doing as your dad? What do I need to change to help them be successful in life? So now let's hit on constraints real quick. Whoop, sorry, my fault. There's 2 types, personal constraint and system constraint. A constraint is anything that holds a person or a system back from reaching their goal. Every system was built for a purpose, so every action is taken within that system should be judged by its impact on the overall purpose or goal. Therefore, the system's global goal must be defined. So let's look at personal constraints. A personal constraint. Am I coachable? Am I trainable? Do I listen? Am I aggressive? If I am really low on my self-control, what kind of dad am I, and what does my family or my home look like with low self-control? My kids can't get past that. If my self-control grows, then my kids feel safer. And they feel safe to come and talk to me. So what do we have to do? We look at what to change. In
Like,
other
go back.
words, in our terminal, oops, sorry.
You missed
I'm sorry,
the system.
go back to,
Yeah, the system constraint.
oh, system, I'm sorry, my mistake. Thank you for correcting me. I appreciate that feedback. See, there you go. System. Space, time, rules, requirements. So a system constraint could be like, there you see the little hose over there with a clamp on it. Let's say that's a garden hose. I put a clamp in the middle of my garden hose. So really, I was the constraint, but I put a system constraint in the garden hose, like bottleneck theory. I turn on the water, and I crank up the pressure, and I keep cranking up that pressure, trying to get more water through that hose. In science, I might add things to the water to reduce friction so it goes through that hose quicker. Well, what do I need to do? Duh, remove the clamp. In emotional intelligence, the clamp might be my low self-control, or my low self-awareness, or my low aggression, or high aggression. If I'm highly aggressive and low self-control, that's a scary deal, okay? So we look at space, we look at time, we look at rules, we look at requirements as system constraints. Okay, so what to change? In our terminology, it might, hey, dude, get a clue. Right? Dude, man, you need to get a clue, Eric. You don't have a clue, man.
And okay.
Okay.
I'm sorry? What to change to, and this is a process too. What to change to, in other words, get a grip, and how to cause the change, in other words, get after it. That's the process. I wouldn't want to do how to cause the change until I know what to change and then what I want to change it to. Set your feedback loop, or PDSA. PDSA stands for plan it, do it, study it, and act, or assess. And then you go right back after you've done everything. You look at worked well, you assess it, you change what might not have worked so well, and adjust it, tweak it, and then do it again. So you're planning, doing, study, act. Plan, do, study, act. It's just a continuous cycle. All right. Part of what this is in UX. Part of this is system design, part of human performance. The system design side can really only be changed by management and leadership, but it's important that you understand the system designs to see how the human performance factors contribute and affect the system design factors. So if the mission is to become the world leader in UX, then there's a mission statement, there's core principles, and all those type of things. Well, then how can I in UX and my human performance factors help that organization, family, group, whatever, reach those missions? Built to last, core by Porras and Collins, core organizational principles, tightness of fit. Those are some things that successful visionary companies and people look for. Tightness of fit. Is there evidence of a BHAG? What's a BHAG? Big, hairy, audacious goal. In the book, they don't use the word audacious, but I do. Big, hairy, audacious goal. I'm not going to use the word they use in the book, okay? So workers within a system, and this is going to be kind of tough maybe to hear, okay? So really think through this statement. Workers within a system, try as they might, is beyond their control. It is the system, not their individual skills, that determine how they perform. System design affects human performance, and how the system is designed affects the human performance. I'm going to put it in a personal level. If I think that I'm not worth anything, I'll put it, I don't like to go negative, but if I think I'm not worth anything in my mental system, what's my performance?
No, you're not going to perform very well.
That's right. So human performance factors, you are worth it, you are valuable, you are important, you should be treated with respect. How should we treat each other? Not dehumanize people, not devalue them. So we look at human performance factors as something that people have a lot of, and I'm going to try to close this out. What are some of the issues with this type of imbalance? Everybody having a party and nothing getting done.
Yep.
Human performance factors is small, and system design factors is huge, stressed out. And people probably turnover rates really high, and nobody likes each other kind of thing maybe, and backbiting, throwing under the bus, blah, 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 right? Those 4 questions do both of these at the same time. They do the system design factors and the human perform factors at the same time. How do you want to be treated? So I'm designing my core principles, respect. And we're building relational capacity or developing relationships at the same time in those 4 questions. If the 2 circles are identical, as identical, which I don't believe in perfection, of course, but if as perfect as you can make them, both sides. And then I get the 2 circles exactly on top of one another. That's when we get peak performance of people and peak performance of group. Both sides of the system are working together.
Awesome.
Building champions. Feedback.
All right. Good job. Thank you, Eric. Yay. All right.
Yay.
So
Okay,
anybody
I
have any
saw there's questions, maybe.
anybody have any questions? Y'all can just unmute yourselves or send it in the chat.
I do. This is
Okay, go ahead.
Paula. Yeah.
Paula,
at the
okay.
at the very end, you talked about when you get the 2 circles equal and when they are right on top of each other, which in my mind
Yes,
is
ma'am.
another way of saying aligned. Is that what you mean?
Correct. Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
All right.
Yes.
Can you give us an example?
An example.
Yeah. Has
Of
that
high
ever happened
performance?
in real life?
Has it ever happened?
Give you an example. Has it ever perfection?
Well,
No.
No, and
Um,
well, Eric, you and I
well-
talked about this a little bit because you said this is a constant relationship and constant work, just like a marriage, just like a relationship with as another person is the systems and your human needs to match, and that's when we're trying to look for jobs.
Yeah.
We need to make sure that we're trying to find the right place for us and that the right place is good for that, that we're good for them. So we need to keep those things in mind. And it's just, when you find that good thing, it's rare, but you can get really close, but you can work on it to make a well-oiled machine. I hope that helped answer that.
yeah.
We talked a lot.
I guess I'd like to hear if he can tell a very short story about how he has witnessed a transformation. And which side was it? Was it the oversized system circle or was it the oversized personal circle on that? I'm just really fascinated about that whole idea.
Okay. My personal philosophy, okay? When I was a school teacher and as an owner, I did not see myself as a teacher. I saw myself as someone that was supposed to create a safe environment for learning.
Okay.
So in the classroom, I had 400 students that year, 200 students the first semester, 200 students the second semester. All 400 of them, they were freshmen. I had some juniors and seniors in there too, and sophomores. Because especially when in my calculus classes, of course, that's going to be seniors. All 400 freshmen, when they became seniors, I received one invitation in the mail with 400 signatures on it to come speak at their high school graduation. Not one had dropped out. HB Zachary in San Antonio was a 22% turnover rate in 1999. To this day, they're at 3%.
And what transformations did they make to create that?
How do I say it without
in broad
being...
terms? Yeah, in broad terms.
What actually changed was when the ownership or the leaders realized that they had not really built relationships with their people.
Cool.
My thinking is if I have not tended to the relationship, I have no business disciplining somebody's kid or somebody. Relationship has to be first. It has to be. Because once we have the relationship, I don't know who asked that, if that was Paula or who. Once we have the relationship, you can give me the hardest feedback in the world and I will accept it because I know that you're out for my good and not trying to hurt. It's not malicious.
Wow. Okay. I've never heard this before.
See, that's why I was like, this might be unique for some people because it's always been rules, 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 rules. Can I ask a quick question?
Yeah.
Do I want commitment or compliance?
Commitment.
Mm-hmm.
Commitment. What does a compliant employee look like?
A robot.
What's a robot? Sheep. What does compliant students on a campus look like when they become employees in our society or country, world? They wait to be told what to do, and there's little risk-taking. Creativity is not there. They're being stymied, or whatever you want to call it, right? Suppressed. And not have
Waiting
that
for
freedom.
permission.
And not have that freedom to go take that risk. If they mess up, they mess up. If I make more mistakes than you, I'm more successful than you.
Yeah.
And my thinking is this also. Teaching is not telling, because if telling works, why do I have to keep telling them? Do your homework, do your homework, do your work, do your work, be on time, be on time, be on time, put your shoes away, put your shoes away, put your shoes away. That gets old for the kid or the person and the parent or the leader. Hey, Jared, are your shoes? Where are your shoes, Jared? They're in the middle of the floor. Where are they supposed to be? My closet. Do you want Dad to put them away? Sure, I lock them in my closet. He comes for his shoes. Dad, where's my shoes? Where are they supposed to be? In my closet. What happened? You took them. I understand that. Why, but again, what happened? Well, I wasn't responsible enough to take care of them on my own. So how long do I have to keep them the next time? If you can't take care of a pair of shoes, son, how in the world would you ever take care of a family someday? And you said, son, we were going to be respectful to each other in this family. We agreed as a family. We came up with the rules as a family, and we hold each other accountable to it. I even asked my kids back before Christmas or the holidays, I think even before Thanksgiving, I said, guys, Jared, Emily, they're 19 and 6, well, she's now 16, 15 at the time. I said, it seems like a parent or a teenager, not all, I don't want to stereotype. I said, but it seems like there's always a rule the teenage kid did not like in their parents' house. What is it in my house? And I fell out of my chair. They said, Dad, there's none because we do this together.
Sweet.
I fell out of my chair. Is it perfect? Is it perfect? No, it is nowhere near perfect. But we're working together as a team. That's the social contract. That's the 4 questions. I call it a social contract. How do you want me to treat you? How do we treat each other? If Paula, if I have an issue with you, do you want me to go to someone else? No, you want me to come to you. You go to the person.
Right, and we make social contracts, whether it's verbalized or not. We make those verbal contracts all the time. Correct. With everybody we meet. Sorry. Right. So.
Correct.
Careful on that. Wow, this is really, really helpful. And Eric and I have had many conversations around this. It's fascinating, and I thought I would share this with you guys. And I really appreciate it. We are recording it, and we're going to put it up on our a YouTube channel. But thanks so much. If y'all have other questions, don't hesitate to. Eric is on our Slack channel too, by the way, if y'all want to reach out to him individually.
Right. And I'll stay online until the last person. It's just up to them. I'll stay till the last person. It doesn't matter to me.
Okay. Okay. Well, great. Well, I want to go ahead and wrap this up. Let's see. Let me do announcements. Okay. I'm going to take over, Eric. Okay.
Oh, sure.
Okay. Oh, one thing I wanted to do with you guys while I have you all here is I need to take a screenshot. If you want to be on video, fine. If you don't, Jake, put your video on. So, Alex, put your video on. So, I got to take a picture of everybody.
Down, but I'll do it.
Group picture. Andrew, you have a question? What's the matter? Okay.
Oh, hey, good evening. I actually had a question for Eric. Eric, thank you for the presentation.
Sure.
I was curious to get your thoughts with respect to maximizing human performance within a system design, particularly at an organizational enterprise level. If you have any thoughts, or even better, if you have any experience with the application of using personality tests such as Myers-Briggs that can bring value in terms of, you know, understanding your personal, what their character traits are to, you know, better maximize performance in existing systems.
He does. Boy, does he.
Yeah, Sherry and I talked about whether to bring this up or not because it's kind of an introduction, okay? So Myers-Briggs, MMPI, DSM, those type of things, right? Personality tests. Okay. Have you ever seen the quadrant ones? Outgoing, introvert, talker, doer, sanguine, melancholy. I can't remember all of them. In the mental psychology world, we say, and there's nothing wrong with them. So please don't take it that there's something wrong with them. Those personality tests, nothing wrong with them. They're quadrants. It's like going to the shampoo aisle at HEB or a grocery store and going, which shampoo? Which I don't need to worry about too much anymore, but there's thousands of shampoos to choose from, or toothpaste, right? And not necessarily any of them are wrong. That's an A-level personality test. MMPI, DSM, Myers-Briggs, I already said that one. What did I miss? DISC. That's B-level personality. There's another one, a C-level psychological profile, not a test. It's called an Adjective Checklist Interpretive Report that I actually use a lot. It's had 50,000 dissertations done on it. It actually holds up in a court of law, and it measures emotional intelligence. And it shows me what a person needs to work on and grow. And then I can put a growth plan to self-motivation, let's say, or coaching or whatever, and put a behavioral growth plan to that. Again, it actually holds up in a court of law. I won't tell you how in depth it will show me things. Well, I guess I can a little. It'll show me if somebody was abused. It'll show me if somebody was abused as a person or not, as a kid or an adult or whatever. I would never share that instrument with another person. The only way, let's say that Sherry goes, Sherry goes, Eric, I want to take that. So I send her the information. It takes about 15 minutes for her to do it. I get a 47 scale report. The only way that anybody would ever see Sherry's profile is if she showed it to someone. It is a very confidential instrument.
I think what I'm driving to, and forgive me if I can articulate my question, is if you have that situational awareness with respect to your employee base, obviously you don't want to share that information. But just having that knowledge, can that help facilitate or change your system design to empower individuals that maybe within your organization?
Absolutely. It will show me the job a person would be best for. And I can design this system around that person. Okay, so let's go back to education or school. And maybe it's both. Should the person be forced to fit the system, or should the system fit the person? Should the student be forced to fit the system, or should the system fit the student? And so designing as you're asking, designing the system that best helps that person perform at their peak. Can be done.
Great. Great. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brianna asked if you could type the name of it in the chat. All right.
Yeah, I'm doing that. Yeah, it's
All
called
right,
an Agility Checklist and Proactive Report, but you have to have certifications to have access to it. The guy that developed it, I'll put that in there too. It was developed about 75, 85 years ago, something like that. If I could spell today.
All right. All right, so I'm going to try to do a screenshot. So if everybody can look at their camera and wave and let me get a screenshot. Oh, my mouse decides to stop working. Keep it going, keep it going. Okay. Oh, okay. All right, got it. Thank you. Okay, now I
I
have
think I
that.
just misspelled. I think I just misspelled something, sorry. But I'll put the gentleman's name that
All
developed
right.
it in there too. I
All
can't even spell
right.
interpretive tonight for some reason.
Your brain's all mushy now.
Correct.
Okay. All right, so you see this picture? Can you see the picture I took? Or no?
You can actually Google that. You can Google ACL IR Harrison Goff and start learning some things about it.
Okay. All right. Can y'all still hear me? Yeah? Okay. All right, so announcements, the latest news. We are working with the board and we are putting together some strategic planning. We're trying to plan our next quarter and make a list of volunteers that are needed for each group. And if you are interested at all for volunteering, please join the Slack channel and join the Volunteer Opportunities channel so that we can let you know when those things come up, because we're going to be making job descriptions and things like that and just kind of throwing it out there and let people jump in. Sam wants to do everything, but he can't. Other people need to learn. So, and Caitlin's doing a lot of things too, and we have a lot of exciting things that are coming up. So this is a good time if it's a good time for you to jump in and help out. We have lots of committees, we have lots of moving parts, so there's something to learn for everyone. So I wanted to encourage you to do that. And so are there any other announcements, Paula or Caitlin? Do y'all know of anything that we need to share?
Just the next monthly meeting. I don't think we have another workshop before that.
No, not yet, but we are working on another workshop. Right.
Okay.
So
They're putting the channels. Slack channel.
all right. So door prizes. So somebody gets a door prize. Okay, so Eric, since you're our featured speaker, give me a number and I'm going to pick that number off of the list. I can't hear you. What'd you do?
But numbers between what, like 1 and, how many people are there? 15, I guess?
Yeah, 1 and 15, but at 1 and 14, because you're 2 of them. Your
Yeah,
phone number.
okay, so 9.
Okay, so Brian
I have no
Dempsey,
idea.
you're the winner. Yay, congratulations. So your door prize is going to be a $25 gift card to Amazon or Rosenfeld Media, who has lots of UX books. And just let us know which one you want. And someone will get in touch with you to get your email. We send it through email, because, remote stuff. But congratulations. All right. That was fun. All right. So Frank Aguilera was supposed to be here tonight to do a closing call to action, but he's not here. So I don't know what happened. But is there anyone here who wants to share a positive story or just a moment that you can share with us that relates to UX or what Eric's said? Feel free to jump in. Or do you want more questions and answers? No? You look sleepy. Sam, what did you think? Learning something? Yeah, I can hear you.
I noticed there was like quite a few parallels between what Jake had talked to me about when we were interviewing, like specifically with the horse training. Kind of reminded me of like talking the talk of like your audience and like I mean I remember the exact quote, UX conversationalist. I just kind of noticed all the strings coming together. It's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Good. Jake, what about you?
Well, as far as what I liked the most, it was the aspect of listening without planning. I find myself doing that, you know, in my day job. You know, that's something that, you know, I have to sit there and think about, right? It's kind of like when somebody says, "Don't think about an elephant." What do you think about the elephant, right? So it's like, it's just like he pointed out, if you're trying to not plan your next statement, right, and really listen, it's really hard to do as humans. And that was really cool, though, that he pointed it out and just trying to always think about how can you keep from doing that. And I like there was another quote that he said later on, that you can't listen if you're defensive. And I started thinking about, well, defensive, you know, when I think about defensive, I'm like, well, I'm not being defensive. And then I'm like, wow, I'm kind of being defensive about being defensive. And it was just really interesting thinking about, right, the
I'm not being
aspect
defensive.
Right. Like you're being defensive just saying that, but it's kind of funny when you're thinking about in the professional sense that defensive doesn't always even mean a negative thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm not a designer necessarily, but I've heard the term defending your design, and that doesn't even necessarily mean you're being defensive in a bad way, but it did make me think, well, are you really listening if you're trying to think of how to defend it against whatever's about to come your way in the next statement from your audience, right, or from the other person? So it's just a really crazy line, I guess, that you kind of got to be able to walk in both as defending it, but also being open to feedback. That was just really interesting to think about.
Yeah, every time I talk to Eric, I feel like he's looking into my soul, and it's just really weird. Y'all get that? It's like really self-awareness, you know? So, but it's a lot of fun.
Wow.
Okay. All right, so our next meetup is Ryan Ramsey's Designers Meet Your Business. I'm actually taking a 6 weeks course right now, and it's more of the advanced level, and but I think he can make it very relatable. And what this is about the same thing that we were just talking about, building relationships, the soft skills, and how we're going to relate to their business leaders, and what, you know, their bottom line is money, OKRs, KPIs, that kind of thing. So how do we take our, you know, emotional, empathetic, and, you know, mushy creative selves and make it accountable to the business? You know, we can put numbers to it, and he's teaching me a lot of tools to do that, and he's going to share some of that with you guys, and I think it's a lot of fun. It's mind-bending as well, whereas Eric's was more on the personal growth side. This is going to be how we can step into that role and talk to business with confidence. You know, like these are the metrics that I put to this design and how much it's going to help the company, whatever. So I think you'll find it fascinating as well. So be sure to join us for that, for June's meetup. And in July is Paula, right?
We're moving it to a little bit later.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
I might be
right.
traveling.
Oh, well, sometime we're going to hear from Paula about UX languages of UX or something like that.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
And then I think Lizzie's putting something together for jobs to be done. So we have a lot of fun stuff, and we're also working with Katie to do another workshop. So be looking for that, and y'all are welcome to hang out a little bit more if you want, just to hang out and talk or ask questions of Eric. But that concludes our meeting. So.
Yeah, I have a question. If I can
Okay.
find my Zoom again. There it is. You kind of just off the cuff mentioned, where is that? Where I was so surprised. We have a mental system.
I'm sorry?
You refer to something, where is that question that I wrote? Sorry, I have trifocals and it's really hard to do these Zoom things. I have got to get a different pair of glasses.
Yeah, you
Mine
said
are
we
the
have a mental
progressive.
system. You said, okay, we have a
Oh.
mental system. This is new to me. That's super interesting.
Yeah, can you?
Okay, mental.
Yeah.
Okay. So culture, or, you know, when I ask the question how you want to be treated, I'm going to get a different answer almost from everybody because of culture, life experience, etc. Right? So everybody's going to have a little bit of different definition of it, just because of those things. I was raised on a family farm, ranch, and dairy in north central Oklahoma. How I was, it's that nature-nurture conversation. How I was seeing culture, how I grew up, seeing the things that kind of made me who I am, is different than other people's makeup, their mental system, their emotional system. How I'm designed and how everybody on this person is designed is unique. It's beautiful. It's awesome. They bring it to the table that helps everybody else. I don't want to go negative. I don't. Let's say I was abused as a kid. My dad or my mom used to beat me. How am I going to perform out in society? More than likely, right? So how I'm designed internally and here in my mind and in my heart is how I'm going to behave in society. It's kind of the phrase, what you do to a kid when they're growing up, that kid's going to do to society. So that's a mental system, if you want to call it that. And we knew, and I don't know how many of y'all have done this, traveling to other countries and seeing other cultures and expanding your worldview, I think is huge. Here's how you test worldview. There's lots of ways. So Paula, since you were talking, Paula, when you walk out of your house, do you think you're going to get eaten by a dinosaur? Probably not.
No.
Probably nowhere in the world, right?
Right.
Okay, how about a mountain lion?
No.
Chances is kind of there, right? A big bad dog.
That depends. I've been attacked.
Yeah, that's your worldview. So in UX and UI and in systems, worldview, how you picture your worldview becomes a theme, and that theme plays out in your life. That worldview is how you design things and how you make things. And I'm not saying it's wrong or anything like that. It's how you're created and how you create things. By that worldview, your personality, your all of that.
Okay. So is that kind of like your filters that are created through experiences? Now you have filters.
Correct.
And worldview.
Correct.
So that's your mental system. Okay.
Okay.
And I think working at expanding your worldview is paramount. My daughter, not this summer, of course, but next summer, if everything opens up, she'll be in Japan working for me at 17 years old. My son went to Vietnam, Cambodia, and Thailand at 17 years old. Just think how their worldview changed. It changed a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Understanding different people and cultures. How do you want to be treated? Oh, that includes Cambodia, Thailand, Japan, United States, Mexico, Australia. But it also is setting boundaries. How should my daughter be treated with respect? So you're teaching them to set healthy boundaries too, their mental space.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for the question. I guess I answered it. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
I was trying to.
Yeah, you did. It's great.
Right.
Huh.
Well, I'm going to stop recording and y'all can still hang out.